Hey guys, happy summer solstice, the longest day of the year. 3 years ago, I was just getting started on my Camino Francés. I think I was on this day, it was Horizon to Roncesvalles, crossing into Spain. So, I'm so happy to see all of the increased activity in the Camino groups on Facebook. It seems like a lot of people are planning Caminos for this summer, next summer. Some people have already set off on a Camino. If you saw my last video, you know I am likely doing a Camino next month. I still haven't finalized the plans. I'm leaning toward the Camino Aragonés for a couple reasons, and I will certainly talk about that in another video when I make my decision. But today I wanted to do just a more general video talking about how can I prepare for the Camino de Santiago. And I want to be clear that I purposefully titled this "How Can I Prepare?" not "How Should I Prepare?" Because, people ask this question a lot in the forums and get a lot of great advice, but there's an expression, your mileage may vary. Everybody is different, their bodies are different, how we function is different. And so these are just some of my thoughts on, if you're thinking going into your first Camino, if you're nervous, I know I certainly was, and you're wondering, what are some of the things I can do to prepare? Here are just a few thoughts that I have. And I guess I should also mention too, you don't actually have to prepare. I would say the Americans that I met on the trail are by far the most prepared pilgrims in terms of guidebooks, itineraries, reservations, equipment. I certainly think I fell into that category, although not exclusively. But there are a lot of people that just decide to pick up and go. Especially, I think, people in Europe who maybe do Camino segments 1 or 2 weeks at a time. And that's certainly an option. I do think that it decreases the stress going into your Camino to just say, I'm going to see what it is. But I think it also does increase the chance that you may end up with not the right kind of gear, blisters because you don't have the right socks or shoes. And certainly if you have unlimited time and resources, all of that can be addressed on the Camino. You can take rest days, you can buy new gear, but I do think some at least light preparation can really improve your journey. So anyway, it's interesting when you talk about preparation and think about the different preparation, I guess, zones, if you will, right? You have, I think when most people ask the question, they're asking more from like a physical perspective. How do I prepare physically? How can I make sure, do I need to be super in shape? Do I need to have done long hikes before? Those kinds of questions. Then you can, think about it from the perspective of preparing your feet, because your feet are one of the biggest, they take the biggest hit as you're walking, and kind of the things you can do to prepare there. And I already made a video, The Truth About Blisters. Check that out if you're curious to know my thoughts on how you can prepare for blisters, but also how a lot of the variables that go into that are just, how far you walk every day, if you walk every day back to back, if you take rest days, what the terrain is like, if you have really rocky areas that for me was more likely to cause blisters, etc. How you can prepare mentally is another thing to think about. How you can prepare relatedly, maybe spiritually. And then also just maybe another way is how you can prepare for all the snorers in the albergues. And for that, I really don't have much advice other than to try to find the best pair of earplugs you can. If you like to sleep with music, I think there are some electronic earbuds out there that play either music or light sounds in your ear that are supposed to be noise canceling and pretty good. I just used foam earbuds. I know some people prefer there's a wax version as well. In general, they worked, but when the bed is this far from you and there's a man or a woman snoring like a truck or a train, there's only so much they can do. Hopefully you're just so sleepy at the end of the day that you sleep right through it. But no, today I really wanted to focus on my thoughts on preparing physically. So, because I think unless you just have the ability to recreate the Camino experience, that is, walking long days, multiple days in a row, with a pack that's full with the stuff you're going to want to bring, it's really not possible to prepare your body that way. I mean, even you certainly want to, I think, take some walks with your pack to learn about where you put things, how to adjust it, where it feels good. Make sure your shoes are working for you, they're not too tight. Make sure you like the sock arrangement that you have. But that's really tougher to prepare for. Other than, I'd say, ladies, do not get a pedicure before you leave. You want to make sure that your feet are or men too, you want to make sure your feet are as rough as possible so that, new skin loves to blister. So you can prepare your feet by getting them nice and callous as much as you can before you leave. But my thought on the physical preparation, so I'm not affiliated with this gym other than being a customer for several years and really believing in the program. I think a great way to prepare is to look into a gym called Orange Theory Fitness. And I think there are similar classes out there now. It's essentially, it combines the benefits of, what you get from working out in a gym with the, the morale boost of being in a class with other people. So there are 3 stations. There are treadmills, water rowing machines, so rowers that have water in the drum, that's what creates the resistance, and then the weight floor where there are dumbbells, TRX straps, abdollies, things like that. What I love about this class is your heart rate, your heart zone is sort of the whole idea in the class, right? So you have these, wherever your heart rate is, it corresponds to a certain color, and you have targets in terms of burning calories and improving stamina. And stamina is really the key here. What I think is tough in a lot of places on the Camino is not so much when you're walking flat, it's when you are dealing with the uphills and the recovery after. And what I've found from years of going to Orange Theory for years is that even when my heart rate gets really high, the red zone, and it's beating super fast and I feel like I can barely breathe, it now comes down super quickly. And what that meant on the Camino was when I was walking uphill and people, when we got to the middle or the top and other people had to stop and catch their breath for sometimes extended periods of time, I was able to just keep walking and my breath, my normal breathing resumed and my heart rate came down. So I really like that class. I think from a cardiovascular perspective and also weights, there is a weight floor with dumbbells. So from that perspective, I think it's really fantastic at getting your heart ready for the type of experience you're going to have on the Camino, or at least the Camino Frances, a lot of it, and I've heard the Camino del Norte and the Primitivo, and I think to the Aragonés, which I'm looking at, are have a lot of up and down hills. So I would say whether Orange Theory gives you a free first class, check it out, whether you do it or not. If you can focus your exercise preparations on something that'll really get your heart rate up, and then try to keep the activity going while your heart rate comes down naturally. And if you do that for, several weeks, months, a year, however much time you have, that to me is the advice that I give in terms of really preparing your heart, your lungs for the Camino de Santiago. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and let me know if you have any questions or any other suggestions. Buen camino.